Hello there, and welcome to another Doctor Who review. Well, you better listen up, because I'm reviewing a 12th Doctor story today. So, 30 or so reviews in, I'm now reviewing a 12th Doctor story. This one is Listen, from Series 8 in 2014, and as always, in the new series reviews, I'm not going to go over the plot line. I'm just going to go straight into the review. So overall, what are my thoughts of Listen? Well, to be fair, it's a minimal story. It's got a story with minimal cast, and it is a strength to it in that respect. Some of the good bits of it, the date with Danny and Clara, the whole fact that we see the building of their relationship in there, the Doctor's obsession with this dream of people grabbing your ankles in a dream when you put your feet on the floor, and that person under the bed scary factor. Orson Pink, who might be Danny and Clara's relative. We know later, and spoilers, that's maybe not possible. The barn itself, and of course the dream and what it does to make people scared and how fear can be overcome. I'll go to the plot line just a little bit here. It's interesting themes overall for this story. The fact that you've got the 12th Doctor making queries and questions about something that obviously comes out of something that he's had. He's had a bad dream and a bad experience with this, as somebody's under the bed and grabs your ankle, which is the whole precedence of it. He plays on that. It's a nice little monologue from Capaldi in that respect, building it up. Clara is trying to be Clara and sociable and nice and have a life and have a plot character that is a character after Series 7. And she's with Danny in a restaurant having a date, which doesn't go that well. And she ends up leaving. The Doctor then invites her along to go on this little jaunt to find out what's happening with the dream and the examples. He then gets Clara to use his telepathic circuits, the TARDIS, for her to travel back. She thinks of Danny when he rings her phone during her flight, and they go back to the orphanage home that Danny was in when he was known as Rupert. And they speak to Rupert, and there's something that comes up on the bed, and everybody's scared about it. And yeah, it's an interesting little premise into your psyche a little bit. I remember seeing the prop of the thing on the bed at the Cardiff Doctor Who experience when I went there the first time round in 2012. It was 2012, 2014. I can't get my years right. Fraser, you're going to correct me on that, I know. No, 2015. Oh, jeez. I can't get this right. So, you know, it's an interesting prop, an interesting concept, this fear that you get, and everybody seems to have the same dream. There's an interesting wee concept you got in there. And I think the limited cast kind of helps. You don't really get much of the cast here. You get the Doctor, Danny, or Orson, and Clara. You get a couple of other quick guest appearances, but yeah, it's an interesting one. But we'll go into a couple of points I've noticed there. Danny and Clara and their date. Awkward. Interesting situation. And it just builds the relationship, or tries to build the relationship that she's had the past couple of episodes with Danny, and how he looks and how he feels and everything else. You've then got the biggest thing for me is Orson, and whether he's a relative, because that little soldier that Clara gives Rupert in the room as like the defender becomes a family heirloom, which is really weird and strange, which indicates that Danny and Clara hook up. But that kind of, it's an interesting concept, makes you think, and it blindsides you to what happens later in the series with Danny. It's an intriguing concept. Not one I would necessarily have went for myself, to be honest, but it's an interesting concept nonetheless. So you've got the barn scene with what happens to be what's inferred is a young doctor, a child doctor, who's sleeping in the barn because he doesn't want to be around the other kids. And the adult that's off camera that comes in says, well, how can he be a Time Lord if he's going to be scared like that? But this fear as a superpower thing is an interesting, nice little concept, and works quite well overall. It's one of these stories where you enjoy, but you can't really say much. It's an interesting one. It's one I enjoy, but it's not one I can really rave about. It's not one I can really talk the talk of. And some of these Doctor Who stories are like that. You know, they're like, that's fine. I like that. I enjoy that. That's fun. But I can't really talk about it. And this is one of them. It's a strange. I mean, Capaldi's brilliant as the Doctor. This kind of withdrawn Doctor, this early form of the 12th Doctor that we see, which is kind of distant and isn't really thinking of feelings, but really is attached to Clara. The chemistry between Jenna Coleman and Peter Capaldi is fantastic. I mean, they bounce off each other quite well. Jenna Coleman's great as acting as always. The problem is her character's not necessarily the best in the world. It's certainly an improvement, this Clara, from the one we see in Series 7. There is some sort of character there, and there's a bit more meat that Jenna Coleman can put bones onto this time, which is interesting. Samuel Anderson is good as Danny, and of course Orson. Very established. It's looking good. It's looking quite cool. Character, I can't really say much about him, but obviously he is interesting enough for Clara. There's enough there for her to be excited. He's an ex-army officer, and his feelings about that, and I think he's got a bit of PTSD. What I'm seeing here, you don't see it that much here, but I think his awkwardness that you see is very PTSD related, possibly. I don't know, in the restaurant. It's just that sort of feeling. You do need to see the whole series really to get the better character of Danny in here. This one's not really the best example of his character. It's written okay. It's a basic story, basic premise, interesting idea by Stephen Moffat. The bit that makes it more enjoyable is Douglas McKinnon's direction. All the shadows, all the dark, all the dull tones, all the sets, the spaceship set that Orson Pink is on that distant planet, which happens to be the end of the universe apparently. That distant planet is an interestingly lit, very dark, muted colours. The barn, lots of shadows and creepiness there. The most lit place is actually Rupert's room. That's the most lit place of the whole thing. The TARDIS is quite dark. The restaurant's quite muted in its colours. You know, you got that kind of warmth there with the restaurant because it's obviously the circumstances, but it's still quite dark and cold to an extent as well. And Douglas McKinnon does the direction really well. It's very good with the cuts he does and the shots. Makes it feel claustrophobic, and that's what brings you in. But if you take that away, the plot is not ideal. It's not the best. It is helped with the music. Murray Gold's music's very muted. It makes the atmosphere. It's not bombastic. It's ineffectual. It adds to the direction, but it doesn't overpower it. And that's something that some of Murray Gold's stuff at this time doesn't do. It overpowers quite a bit. So overall, yeah, it's light on plot. The main three actors are great. They play their roles well. You can tell it's embryotic of the 12th Doctor at this point. It's a little bit uncertain. Capaldi plays the role well, but I'm not sure of the 12th Doctor at this point. Clara's certainly a better characterisation here than she would have been in Series 7, definitely. Jenna Coleman is certainly the best actress to play that sort of role. And Samuel Anderson is really good as Danny as well. But overall, it's okay. Is it take your head out? No, I don't think it is quite take your head out. It is a bit more enjoyable than that, I think. And for that, I'm going to give it a generous 3.5 TARDISes out of 5. So that's my review of Listen. How does it fare within the rest of the stories reviewed so far in this series? Listen fits in along with The Aztecs, The Leisure Hive, Vengeance and Varos, The War Machines, Amy's Choice, The Trial of a Time Lord, The Five Doctors, The Christmas Invasion, The Pandorica Opens and The Big Bang, and The Ice Warriors at 3.5 TARDISes out of 5. The bottom 3 are still The Idiot's Lantern and Battlefield at 3 TARDISes out of 5, and Time Lash, 2.5 TARDISes out of 5. At the top is still 6 stories with 4.5 TARDISes out of 5, The Happiness Patrol, Inferno, The Day of the Doctor, The Caves of Androzani, The Tomb of the Cybermen, and Dalek. Right, that's it for now. Thanks so much, guys, for watching, as always. If you like this video, don't forget to like it and share it with the hashtag teamstructor. You can also subscribe to the channel if you like this channel as a whole. Go and hit that subscribe button and the notifications bell so you know when a new video comes out. And leave a comment down below about what you think of this, and give me some comments. Let me know what you think. You might be able to do a better review than I have on this one. It's not exactly been the most interesting one to review for me, but there's lots of stories like this that will come in and it will be a little bit more meh. This one is been generously given, but it could be a bit more meh. As a general rule, a new video is released every Sunday at 4 PM GMT, unless it's the week of a Deanstructor, which is usually a little bit later. 4 PM GMT is UTC +0, so if you're in the UK at the moment, that will be an hour later than that time, so it would be 5 PM UK time. The rest of the world just go based on UTC +0, and you should be able to find when it comes out. But until next time, I'll see you next week with a Deanstructor, based on social distancing measures, no doubt, I hope. It should be. And then it's very exciting June with a Deanstructor month coming up in a few weeks' time, and you've got a channel update in 2 weeks' time about what's happening going forward. There's a few changes due to what's been happening recently around the world, and the restrictions have been happening here in the UK. At the time of recording, I'm still not quite sure what's going to happen, whether I'm going to be back to work in an office or whether I'm still working from home. We'll need to wait and see. But at the moment, I'm here, enjoying myself recording videos like this for you guys, and hopefully you enjoy it as much as I have made recording it. Until next time, guys, thanks so much, guys, for watching, and I will see you next time. See you later.